guest number 2.
Buenas noches. Good evening. And welcome to our mayoral, the 2012 third and last of the debates of the mayoral race here in Orlando. My name is Ramon Ojeda, and I serve as the president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to this wonderful event, an event put together by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando and its partners, La Casa de Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida, Trabajando Juntos, HABRA, the Hispanic American Professional Businesswomen Association, and NALEO Educational Fund. It gives me great pleasure to welcome members of our community to this wonderful event in which we will hear from the candidates looking to participate in the April 3rd election for the City of Orlando mayoral race. Before I actually acknowledge and thank our community partners, because I want to say a couple of words regarding that. And I'm also going to say a few words in Spanish, so in appreciation of our media and also our guests here from la comunidad hispana. Buenas noches, ya saben mi nombre, de a quien represento, es un honor estar aquí con ustedes y les damos la más cordial bienvenida a este evento, que es un evento comunitario para el beneficio de nuestra comunidad y el envolvimiento de estos líderes comunitarios, estos líderes y oficiales electos que están aspirando a la alcaldía, al puesto de alcalde en la alcaldía de Orlando. En este momento, at this time, I would like to welcome my Vice President of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and incoming President in 2013, Diana Bolivar, so she can share remarks on behalf of our sponsor, Orlando Health, who happens to be here tonight, and it's a wonderful sponsor and supporter of our community and our chamber event. So Diana, please welcome on board on stage.
Good evening and buenas noches para todos. Thank you so much for being here with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and all of our partners tonight. I think this is a historic moment and we really appreciate our community being together. On behalf of Orlando Health and its 7 hospitals and facilities, 14,000 team members who work in those facilities every day, and 4.5 billion economic impact, take great pride in delivering the very best in quality healthcare services and always treating its patients as a family. Orlando Health has been our sponsor, and thanks to them, we're able to put together this great event for you. Orlando Health takes great pride in support of the Hispanic community, and in particular the Hispanic Chamber of Metro Orlando. Since 2008, Orlando Health has been a trustee of the Chamber and served on the board of directors. So we want to give them a thank you. If you can join me in a round of applause.
Thank you, Diana. And I also want to take a moment to recognize our elected officials that are present today. I know Mayor Dyer and Commissioner Diamond here with us. Any other elected official in our audience, will you please stand up so we can recognize you? Great, thank you. I also want to take a couple of housekeeping rules regarding La Casa de Puerto Rico. As you can see, this is a very warm place. Esta es una casa cultural, una casa de Puerto Rico para las actividades que ellos hacen en la comunidad. Housekeeping rules, if you need to go to the restrooms are located through those doors all the way to the back. And this will, regarding refreshments, bottled water and sodas are complimentary tonight, so if you feel thirsty, just let those folks at the bar that they can provide you with water and soda. Now, if you're hungry and you want to eat some of the alcapurrias or any other Latin dishes, I know our friends made an effort to put something together. They're cooking behind the kitchen, and they make those available for a very reasonable price. So that's one other way to support them. We did a business after hours here just a few weeks ago, and we had the nicest time. And I ended up playing domino here. I don't know how that happened, but I ended up playing domino here late at night. One more word regarding our partners. If I can get members of the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida, the NALEO Educational Fund, Jackie Colon. Maria Lujan is the president of the Puerto Rican Chamber of Commerce. She was not able to attend the event due to a prior commitment. But if I can get a representative of the Puerto Rican Chamber to stand up, Jackie Colon, who I'm about to introduce in just a minute. If you can stand up. Eva Pagan from Trabajando Juntos is here as well. And also Carol Núñez from the Hispanic American Professional Businesswoman Association. Let's just give these folks a round of applause. Now, speaking of La Casa de Puerto Rico, hablando de La Casa de Puerto Rico, I take great pride in welcoming to the stage two good friends, two of my new friends, Mr. Victor Calcaño y el señor Efraín Rolón, so they can provide brief remarks regarding Casa de Puerto Rico.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Efraín Rolón, presidente de Puerto Rico. Good evening. Welcome to la Casa de Puerto Rico, everybody. Para mí es un placer realmente recibirlo a ustedes. Una vez más, la Casa de Puerto Rico sirviendo a la comunidad. Sí, aparentemente. Una vez más, la Casa de Puerto Rico siguiendo la trayectoria de sus últimos 20 años, sirviendo a nuestra comunidad. La Casa de Puerto Rico, si la Casa de Puerto Rico estamos llevando a cabo todos los jueves el programa que tiene la Casa de Puerto Rico, una parte donde estamos motivando al elector principalmente hispano de la importancia del voto. Nosotros creemos que nosotros no debemos permitir que otras personas elijan por nosotros, por eso es que tenemos esta charla donde le estamos dando la oportunidad a nuestra comunidad que oigan los candidatos, lo evalúen y en su momento pues decidirán por qué van a votar. Yo quiero señalarles que la Casa de Puerto Rico verdaderamente no está endosando ningún candidato en este momento, ni estamos para endosarlo, simplemente nosotros como individuos en su momento lo haremos. Así que le quiero dar la más cordial bienvenida a todos y quiero presentarle un momento aquí al compañero Víctor Calcaño, vicepresidente de la Casa de Puerto Rico, y que disfruten la actividad.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Victor Calcaño. I'm the Vice President of La Casa de Puerto Rico. And on behalf of the Board of Directors and the more than 150 active members that we have in this organization, we are delighted and humbled to have been chosen by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to have this event. We are really humble and we are very, very happy. We Hispanics have a saying, mi casa es su casa. My house is your house. And today, La Casa de Puerto Rico is your house. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. And thank you to all of us. Gracias a todos nuestros socios. I would like now. Se escucha, sí. All right, without further ado, I'd like to introduce and present our moderator for the panel, and she'll take care of the discussion and the debate. Her name is Jackie Colon, and Ms. Jackie Colon is the Florida Director for the National Association of Latino Elected Officials, NALEO. She is the President and CEO of a JC Consulting Limited Liability Company, and she was a public servant for 14 years. Jackie Colon served as a Commissioner of Brevard County. She was the first Hispanic to serve as the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners. She made history in the Space Coast by being the first Hispanic to hold public office in 1995. She served as the councilwoman for the city of Palm Bay and later became the youngest deputy mayor in the city's history. Jackie served as the Florida Commissioner on the status of woman appointed by Governor Jeb Bush. She has also served as the gubernatorial appointment of Governor Charlie Crist to the East Central Florida Planning Council, as a senatorial appointment of U.S. Senator Mel Martinez to the Armed Forces Service Academy Selection Committee. Jackie has also provided leadership in many community-based organizations as well as task forces in our community, such as Economic Development Commission, Space Coast Delegation, the Juvenile Justice Council, the Association of the United States Army, the Metro YMCA of Central Florida, the Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida, and the Police Athletic League, just to name a few. Mrs. Colon received her Master's in Business Administration from Florida Christian University. Please help me in welcoming a great community leader and my good friend, Mrs. Jackie Colon.
Thank you, Ramon. Good evening. Buenas noches. We're going to have some fun this evening, aren't we? Yes, we are, but not for these gentlemen. They're probably thinking, oh my gosh, it's not easy to be on the side. But I can assure you that these folks here are welcoming you with lots of love, lots of respect, and you're really going to enjoy this evening. I would like to take this opportunity to thank la Casa de Puerto Rico. Estamos muy agradecidas por esta noche. I think that it's so perfect and so adequate for the event to be here. Would you agree? It's perfect, perfect, perfect. I want to be able to let folks know that our candidates are sitting here by alphabetical order. We have Mr. Cantone, Mr. Diamond, Mr. Dyer, and Mr. Mulvaney. Am I echoing here? Am I good? Okay. Make sure that it's not echoing there. Our candidates are going to be having 2 minutes to be able to answer the questions that are going to be given by our panelists. We have a timekeeper, this beautiful young lady right here at the end. Most importantly to our candidates, you definitely want to keep an eye on the beautiful young lady, because she is going, if she stands up, then you're in trouble. You don't want that. We will also like to make sure that everyone realizes that it's really important for this evening. I'm sorry, it's sounding a little good there. It's really important for folks to realize that we're here really wanting to know what is important to the community. And I would highly recommend that personal attacks is not welcome this evening. So I don't know about how they've been able to do things. Can I try the other mic? Because this is going to be really difficult for folks. They're going to have to put up with this all right. So as I was saying, from the bottom of our heart, we really request that, because it's not easy being a candidate. We want to thank you for stepping up and saying, I'm going to go for it. But I think this evening, we really want to know about the issues. And I had shared that with the candidates before they even got started. Our panelists, and we're going to give an opportunity for them to introduce themselves too. We have Isa Montalvo from La Prensa, Omar Machuca from Telemundo, and Paul Gamache from Univision. And now I would like to have this opportunity, if they'd be so kind to introduce themselves and give the community a little bit of introduction. And we'll start with Mr. Machuca. Please, let's hear it from Mr. Machuca, a personality here from Orlando.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in this debate. Nothing will happen tonight. I work with Telemundo Orlando, a video reporter. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Machuca. Isa Montalvo from La Prensa.
I am a reporter for La Prensa and also a digital reporter for Impre Media. We share content with El Diario in New York and La Opinión in Los Angeles.
Gracias.
Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Paul Gamache. I'm from Univision, main anchor for 11 years. Been in Orlando since 1979. I am a UCF graduate, and I'm very happy to be here. Welcome to Orlando.
And the beautiful young lady who's going to be making sure that you'd be so kind to introduce yourself too.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Pena with the Hispanic Chamber. I'm the marketing and sales coordinator for the Hispanic Chamber. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, as we have mentioned, we're going to give an opportunity for our candidates to introduce themselves, get a little glimpse of what you like, and for the record, you want to say you like rice and beans? I just want to make sure I give you a hint there, because you're among friends and we love to that. And it's so appropriate that this event has food. Is that not appropriate? And then afterwards we're going to put a little salsa and the ambiance is going to be wonderful. So this evening is really about enjoying yourself and also getting to know you. So Mr. Cantone, if you'd be so kind and let us know a little bit about you in 2 minutes.
Buenas noches, ¿cómo están todos? Good. Thank you. My name is Mike Cantone. I am running for mayor of Orlando because I believe our city is in need of a bold new direction. I'm running because my background is as a community organizer. For those of you who might not know exactly what that means, our President Obama, started out as an organizer. And it means it's someone who works directly in our community to bring people together, bring them to the table, and to come up with solutions facing our communities. In addition to that, I have a decade of experience in nonprofit management, campaign management. So again, I'm most proud that we are engaging voters in every district of this city in this election. Because for too long we have suffered from absent leadership from our city, and too many people continue to be left behind and pushed aside. I got in this race because I could no longer sit on the sidelines and watch the people be put second to big business and out-of-state corporations. I am proud to have worked across the political arena, including campaigning in Puerto Rico. I met with President Acevedo Villa in 2008 when I was working for Maggie Martinez, a former representative in Puerto Rico, and we were raising money down there and getting her name attention for her U.S. Senate race. So I also want to just thank everyone for this forum, because I understand that the passion of the community is what it will hold our elected officials accountable, and we need everyone to get involved this year so that we can secure strong neighborhoods and a positive outlook for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cantone. Mr. Diamond.
Gracias, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Diamond. ¿Cómo está? You know, it is a little bit warm in here, but not as warm as the warm welcome everybody gave us before we started, and I want to thank you for that. I really appreciate being back here at La Casa de Puerto Rico. I've been here for a number of events, and it's great to be back, and it's great to see so many people here tonight. It really is a wonderful turnout. I want to thank everybody involved in this debate for making this possible, and I think it's wonderful to see this much engagement. My name is Phil Diamond. I am running for mayor of Orlando. I'm a tax attorney and a CPA. I've been married to the same wonderful woman for 21 years. We have 2 children who are attending or will soon be attending public schools right down the block from here. And I've also had the honor of serving on the City Commission for almost the past 10 years. I'm proud of the many accomplishments, the things I've supported, things like Medical City, Sunrail, projects in the district, whether it's renovating parks, preserving land along Lake George, Barber Park, and doing all sorts of good things in the district. At the same time, I have found it necessary to disagree with our current mayor's, some of his policies and programs, not because he's a bad person. I think he's a nice guy, but I disagree with his priorities. I disagree with the way he spends taxpayer dollars. I think the city has cut bad deals with developers and special interests, and I think that has come at the expense of our neighborhoods, keeping our streets safe, and taking care of the city. I think the city's at a critical crossroads right now. I think now more than ever, we need a mayor who will stand up to special interests, a mayor who's financially responsible, a mayor who will raise the bar on ethics and hold the line on taxes. So tonight, I'm asking for your support. I'm asking for your vote. Together, we can work to put neighborhoods first and make Orlando the great city we all want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diamond.
Buenas noches, that sounds good with a southern accent, right? I've had the honor and privilege of serving as the mayor of the city that I was born in, the city that I'm raising my family in, the city that I love so much, and you have entrusted me with what I think is the most important job in the entire state of Florida, and that's mayor of Orlando, because Orlando plays a leadership role in state politics and government. As Orlando does things, other communities follow our lead, especially on issues of diversity and embracing diversity. I get up every day excited about representing the citizens of Orlando, and we've laid out a vision, and we've accomplished much of that vision because of partnership and collaboration and being willing to work together across party lines, across jurisdictional lines, across ethnic lines. Some of the successes we have our city in the best financial shape of any major city in the state of Florida. We've had a dramatic reduction in violent crime, historic reduction in violent crime over the last several years. We have been able to diversify our economy with a medical city, which will create $8 billion worth of economic activity and 30,000 jobs over the course of the next decade. We're building things for our citizens like the Amway Center and a new performing arts center, and we're transforming our transportation future with Sunrail. So these are a few of the things. We've got great momentum going. I don't think we need to throw out any anchors right now. We need to keep the momentum growing, and I'm humbly asking for your support once again to be your mayor on April 3rd.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mulvaney?
Buenas noches in an Irish accent. I'm Ken Mulvaney. I ran for mayor in 2004 and 2008. I emigrated here from Ireland 31 years ago. 28 years ago, I opened a small business here with my brother, Brian, and we've been together ever since. We've opened over the last 28 years a lot of businesses in Orlando. We've had a company which installs restaurant equipment. We opened in 1983, moved on from there to open a fabrication business in Orlando, manufacturing custom stainless steel kitchen equipment, and shipping this equipment throughout South America, Europe, and all around the United States. In the late 90s, early 90s, we started getting involved in restaurants, bars, and fast food restaurants, which we owned and operated ourselves. In the early 2000s, we started purchasing property around Orlando, renovating the property to commercial real estate, not residential, warehouse space, retail space, and office space. That's what I've been doing for the last 10 years. I manage my own portfolio of real estate here. I think what I bring to the city of Orlando is my business experience. Living here 31 years, doing business in Orlando 28 years. And I think I have a lot to offer to take the city forward to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mulvaney. We'll also take this opportunity to tell folks, if you'd be so kind and put your phones on silent or vibrate. Because in the middle of the questions, we really want to hear what they have to say, and we don't want any. And again, gentlemen, we're here to really focus on what each one of you is going to do for Orlando. Therefore, personal attacks on one another is not going to be accepted. I would make that perfectly clear, because we really want to know is what are you, each one of you, is going to do for Orlando. And so we want to really focus this evening. We will start with Mr. Paul Gamache's question from Univision. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer, and we will start with Mr. Cantone and work our way down, and then the next question we'll work our way back up again. Mr. Gamache.
Thank you. Good evening once again, and welcome to all of you. Social media is everything these days, so I decided that I wanted to see what our viewers wanted to ask each one of you as opposed to myself, because I think that's where the truth is coming out, and they are the ones that are going to go out and vote for one of the candidates. I think we all agree that the Amway Center is a wonderful facility. The new Fine Arts Center that's coming up also will be a wonderful facility. What people do not agree on is perhaps the prices that are being charged in parking and in concessions in these two public facilities. They're not Disney, they're not Universal Studios, they can charge whatever they want and have a choice to go or not. But the general public thinks and feels that it's very hard to go into those places, and they get raped when they have to pay parking, when they have to pay concessions. And I want to know if you agree, first of all, and if we own, because it's publicly owned, we own these facilities, why do we have to pay outrageous prices in terms of parking and concessions?
Thank you. Mr. Cantone?
Yes, I'm glad this question came up, because I hear it often as I go door to door, and my campaign's been very aggressive online as well, so we do hear this over Twitter and Facebook. And one of my main things in this campaign is that it shows how out of touch our leadership is. Like you said, the city made a substantial investment, almost $500 million to build this facility, yet what I hear from countless residents across the city is that they don't have the opportunity to benefit from it. And I think that that was a little short-sightedness in our leadership, because we do have one of the nicest venues now in the country, that means oftentimes we can only fill it with the most expensive events. And that is keeping people out. I think we even heard about the success from All-Star Weekend. Again, as mayor, I would not build barriers or walls to block out communities, local business owners, minority business owners. What I would like to do is find a way to bring more family-friendly opportunities to the Amway Center, more open community events, looking at how we can open up this facility when it's not game night for the Magic and make sure as many residents can enjoy it. That will include bringing in as many smaller team events, smaller scale events that we can fill that arena and let everyone in the city of Orlando enjoy this investment.
Thank you. Mrs. Diamond?
Thank you. I've heard the same concerns about the new arena, and I was very concerned about the new arena deal when it came before the city council. I voted against the deal because I thought it was financially unfair to the city, and as it turns out, I really question whether it's financially unfair to the residents as well. One thing that really concerns me about it is that that arena is budgeted to lose $618,000 this year, and that's money that comes out of the pockets of taxpayers or comes out of our general fund that pays for important things like police and fixing streets and taking care of parks and all the things that we want. We did that, but the reason for that is we made a very bad deal with the Magic. You can look at Forbes magazine, and Forbes magazine will tell you that the new arena generates additional revenue of $30 million a year. So I don't understand why the city is getting such a small amount of that, except for the fact that the mayor and the city council voted for that bad deal. At the same time, we're dipping into bond reserves to pay some of the bonds on that arena, and we learned very recently that the bonds issued by the CRA to pay for the new Performing Arts Center were downgraded by Fitch Rating Service. So I'm concerned about the cost to citizens, I'm concerned about the cost to the community, and I'm concerned about the process by which we did a very bad deal. Although I think that it should be said, I was glad that we had All-Star Weekend. I think it's a very nice arena, but I agree with Mr. Cantone. We ought to find more ways to get more family-friendly events there.
Thank you. Mrs. Dyer?
Thank you very much. Let's be very clear. The Amway Center in its first year operated at a profit. It did not operate at a loss. And the prices are competitive. I hate to say that. They're competitive. One of the reasons that we built the Amway Center was to make sure that we could keep the Magic here for the next 30 years, or they might be in some other community. It's the best in the world, and I don't think that the citizens of the city of Orlando should ever settle again. We ought to strive to be the very best at anything we do and offer that to the community. One of the things we did do with the Amway Center, though, is we are subsidizing various special events. So we wanted to make sure that we controlled the building so that we could continue to have things like high school graduations or other community events. So there is a little bit of general fund money that goes into making sure that we can have and host those types of events at a very nominal cost. Parking is most expensive by the Amway Center, but you can park very efficiently and cheaply a little bit further away if you're willing to walk and if you're willing to ride the limo bus. And the whole concept behind having a more urban building was that we wanted people to come and visit the downtown, to park a little bit farther away and frequent the retail establishments that are along the way.
Thank you. Mr. Mulvaney?
Well, just to answer your question on that, the arena in my eyes wasn't built for the citizens, it was built for the Orlando Magic. It's as simple as that. We, as citizens, have no control over what they charge for ticket prices for that arena. And I do believe that the Magic did get a sweetheart deal at the expense of the Orlando taxpayers. The arena cost nearly $500 million, and that's without, I don't know what overages were involved with that cost. I'm sure it was a lot more than what the city said it cost. The parking downtown, I do think, is disgraceful. $10, $20 to park the cars downtown for citizens who, a lot of them in this community, are in loan-paying jobs and cannot go downtown and pay the sort of money they demand to park, for tickets to get into the arena, and the cost of maybe having a beer in the arena or a hot dog or something to eat. So I would say the only different thing I would have done as mayor, which I didn't agree with, is that the citizens didn't vote on building that new arena, and I think there should have been a referendum and the citizens should have voted on building the new arena and the Performing Arts Centre, and if the citrus bowl is done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And again, I appreciate. Sorry. Is there? Am I continue? Okay. Thank you. Okay, you let me know. Mr. Zekuin over there. Again, just want to thank, for those of you who answered the question, what would you specifically do? We don't want to know about what the other person did. What would you do if elected mayor? Thank you very much. The next question is from Ms. Isa Montalvo.
Buenas noches, good evening, and thank you for being here. Welcome to District 2 and to La Casa of Puerto Rico, where everything started 20 years ago for the Puerto Ricans in Central Florida. My question is about District 2. Violent crime has gone down 33% in District 2, but there is still plenty of anecdotal evidence of minor offenses such as vandalism, car theft, petty theft, and drug dealing that is affecting the quality of life of residents. What plan of action would you do or would you do to make it better for the residents?
Thank you. Ms. Mulvaney, and we'll work our way down again.
Again, me as mayor, I think we do need more police officers on the streets of Orlando. Yet crime is up. I'm not saying it's up in a lot of areas. Theft is up. Break-ins are up. We do not have enough police out on the street. A couple of issues I have looked at, one of them is Orlando's divided up into 4 sectors. It's dividing the city up into 8 instead of 4 sectors, doubling the sectors, so that we can have a quicker response time to crime in the area, and also possibly putting in like emergency blue box areas in high crime areas, so we can get a quicker response to these areas when there is a crime committed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dyer?
Thank you for that question. And violent crime is down dramatically in District 2 and all across the city of Orlando, but there has been an uptick in burglaries and theft, and some people call those minor crimes, but try telling that to a family that's had their house broken into. So we now have more police officers per 1,000 residents than any major city in the state of Florida. We have more firefighters per 1,000 residents as well. So when we have had additional revenue, it has gone into public safety. We've reduced the size of government everywhere else so that we could focus on public safety. In terms of what are we doing now, the police chief has instituted new units that are specifically aimed at burglaries, residential burglaries, because that is where the focus needs to be at this point in time. We also have our tactical squads that we're redeploying, and the tactical squads have done some pretty amazing things in District 2 in terms of taking down drug crimes and Oxycontin type prescription related stuff.
Thank you. 1 second, please. Everyone who's been over there, be so kind. There's plenty of seats back here. You're welcome to come in and sit right over here. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. We have a full house. That's wonderful. Mr. Diamond, would you be so kind?
Thank you, and I appreciate that question. Before I answer that, I just want to disagree with one thing the mayor said in his prior answer about the arena. I'm looking at a memo that his arena director wrote to the city council. It says the profit was $584,000 last year. That's only after we took $980,000 from our general fund and put it into the arena. I think if somebody gave anybody in this room $1 million, you could say you made $1 million this year too. Going to the crime question, I think that's a great question. I was reading the recent FBI statistics, and the recent FBI statistics show that crime is up in the city of Orlando, but at the same time, crime is down across the country, across every region of the country. So you've got crime going up in Orlando, and you've got crime going down in the rest of the country. What would I do? A couple things. I think we need to make sure we have the resources to have adequate police protection. I think that starts with how we run the city, how we approach business situations, how we work with developers and people that want to do contracts with the city. I think also we can look at some other things where we can possibly try to use more people in the police department who are not necessarily sworn police officers to do things that don't require sworn police officers. One thing I would suggest is with our iris cameras, we currently use police officers who are on light duty to monitor the cameras. I think that's important, but I would also look at using non-sworn officers for that as well. I think that's a more economical way to leverage the investment made in those cameras several years ago.
Thank you. Mr. Canton, what would you do, sir?
Yes, and as troubling as the statistics are, I think what's even worse is the stories I hear from the voters and residents as I go door to door. And one thing that I would start immediately is in building real relationships. I know we've been promised in the past to build relationships between our authorities and our local residents, but that hasn't happened. And that's why people still don't feel safe, even when they hear statistics that violent crime might be down. They still don't feel safe to have their child walk down the street or to go out walking down the street to business instead of driving themselves. And I think that this will need to start with a comprehensive review of the police standards and procedures and also how they've been used. Because one other comment that I hear across the city is that while crime may be down, intimidation is up. And that needs to stop because we need to shift the outlook of our city and how we're treating our residents. We need to work together, and that's what I've done my whole career. And I know that public safety has to be a community solution. If we are not bringing the people in our neighborhoods along, we are failing from the start. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Mr. Armand Machuca from Telemundo.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here with you as a candidate for the Orlando City Mayor. My question is about the Citrus Bowl. I know the renovation of the Citrus Bowl will cost around $175 million. Will you consider renovate the Citrus Bowl? Will you consider better to increase better to the stadium of the UCF arena? What are your position about that?
Yes, Mr. Canton, thank you.
Yeah, regarding the Citrus Bowl, this is a very important issue because it's literally right down the street from, again, our first issue, a $500 million new arena. But with the Performing Arts Center already exceeding budget expectations, with the expected Creative Village and the unknown costs that we're already facing, we don't really have another $200 million. Yet, I would point out where this Citrus Bowl is. This is in the minority communities. Once again, less attention has been given to this venue versus building a brand new arena right next door to the proposed Creative Village luxury housing development, which I would also scrap. I would work instead directly with the county leaders. We need to find a dedicated funding mechanism for this. We need to work together with regional partners so that the city of Orlando is not once again footing a bill that we simply can't afford. And while I agree with what we might have heard earlier, that we must keep growing, must keep progressing, we also have to do what each of us do in our everyday lives. We have to live within our means. I can't just go out and spend as much money as I want, and unfortunately neither can the city of Orlando, because at the end of the day, that means we're all the ones paying that bill.
Thank you, and I would certainly agree with what was just said about doing what you can afford. In fact, when that deal for the 3 venues came up in 2007, I was the one that said I didn't think we could do 3, especially 3 at one time, and unfortunately I was right. As far as the Citrus Bowl, I was thrilled to see all the people that came into town this year for the Champs Bowl and the Citrus Bowl and also for the Florida Classic. I have suggested, since we still haven't gotten to where everybody wants to be with the tourist tax, which was going to be the way to pay for that project, I've suggested looking at some sort of public-private partnership where we can try to use private dollars to try to do the renovation, try to look at ways like other cities have done with sports arenas and stadiums to find a way to do that without burdening the taxpayers of Orlando. And I think that's something that should be looked at, and I think that's something that should be considered before we ask the citizens to pay for it.
Thank you. Mr. Dyer?
I continue, as I have, to support the renovation of the Citrus Bowl and the way that the funding mechanisms were put together for all 3 of the venues. The vast majority of the revenues to pay for the venues comes from tourist development tax, not taxes paid by our local residents. And it was also a very conservative plan because it only allowed us to move forward if there was, in fact, growth in the tourist development tax. And there simply wasn't growth for 3 years, and that delayed the construction of the Citrus Bowl. But the tourist development tax is coming back. And I do think we're probably going to have to revisit with the county exactly how we structure the tourist development tax pay, because the Citrus Bowl is an economic engine for the city of Orlando. And that last bowl season created $60 to $80 million worth of economic activity for our community, and we stand to lose those gains if we don't improve the Citrus Bowl. The other thing I wanted to mention was our blueprint. As we went into all of these venues, we felt it was extremely important that our local residents benefit from the construction, especially our minority and women-owned businesses. And the first facility that we did, the Amway Center, had 34% minority and women-owned business participation, almost $100 million worth of contracts, and the Performing Arts Center is on course to exceed that.
Thank you. Mr. Mulvaney?
As I stated earlier on, and it's part of my platform, that all public works projects, which would include the renovation of the Citrus Bowl, over $25 million, would go to a referendum, give the people a chance to vote on that. We have to take into consideration the Citrus Bowl only has, I think, 3-4 events a year. Some people have came out and talked about, Orlando has a soccer team, about possibly getting an MLS team, and that would fill in a lot in the Citrus Bowl. Well, MLS soccer, they like 25,000 seats arenas, not 80,000 seats, because you're not going to fill 80,000 seats for a soccer game, and to create an atmosphere at the game, you got to do a smaller arena. So I think you really have to sit down and weigh up the offsets and the minus and pluses of renovating, or possibly, if the funds are there or the people vote on it, maybe building a new small arena. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Gentlemen, we have talked about crime, we have talked about law enforcement, and so let me go ahead and ask this question before we do a round, and we'll start with Mr. Mulvaney, and we'll work our way with this particular question. It's all over the news. Central Florida is all over the news. We have, as a mother of a teenager, have cried over what I have seen on TV. And as a former councilwoman, so I was at the city level, as a former county commissioner, I was at the county level, as the chairman of the board of county commissioners, I definitely have been able to see and witness firsthand of something of how we want it to be handled. And I would like to be able to get some feedback from each one of you. Again, if you were sitting as that particular elected official of a particular city, and the same scenario happened here in Orlando, gentlemen, would you share with us specifically what each one of you would do if you was right now facing the same situation? Mr. Mulvaney?
Terrible thing what happened, and it should have never happened. And I think this situation has been let get out of hand at this stage. I think from the start it should have been addressed. The individual should have been arrested and gone through the process of what the law does, and if there is, which I think there is, that's just my own personal opinion, charges to be filed. Charges should have been filed in this instance. Thank you.
This is such a tragic event that happened in Sanford, and I don't have any additional information outside of the news sources, but from looking at it from what has been reported, there seems to be no question in my mind that the perpetrator should have been charged and should be sitting in jail right now as we sit. That being said, I don't know a whole lot about the Sanford Crime Watch organization or neighborhood organization. I don't think they actually have formal training. The City of Orlando has over 900 neighborhood watch captains, and we put them through 2 training sessions. Everything we tell them to do, this guy in Sanford did exactly the opposite. We don't want them armed. We don't want them engaging anybody that they see strange. We want them making a telephone call to 911 and informing, and this gentleman did everything adverse to what would have been done in the city of Orlando by any one of our block captains.
Mr. Thank you. Mr. Diamond and Mr. Cantone, if this had happened in the city of Orlando and this was happening as we speak. Therefore, the grace of God go I. It could happen to any of us in any of our cities. Mr. Diamond, what would you do right now if this was happening to the city of Orlando and Mr. Cantone?
Well, you're exactly right about there, but for the grace of God go I. And I think everybody in this room would probably say the exact same thing. As a dad and a husband and an uncle, I can only imagine how the family is feeling. And I think that the first thing to do is get all the facts, see what's going on, talk to the chief of police, make sure you've got a proper investigation. The mayor talked about training of the neighborhood watch volunteers. I think that's a very good idea. We also need to make sure that we continually update the training, that we continually talk to people. I think it would also be a good idea for the police department or some other part of the city government to monitor patterns of 911 calls and see if there's any sort of pattern that should be checked into, see if anything needs to be looked at, if anybody should be talked to. I think another thing we should be doing is doing more and more training and making it available online for people. You mentioned social media. I think we ought to make resources available as much as possible for neighborhood watch people. I go to neighborhood watch meetings. I'm always thrilled at all the people that come, but there are many more people that don't participate, and I think it would be useful for people to be able to go on the internet, Facebook, get information about how to be more effective, but how to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cantone?
My heart continues to break, especially as we learn more and more details from this case. And as someone who has 3 brothers myself, I can't imagine losing one of my brothers or any of our family members. But let me be clear, a month ago, not now, a month ago, I would have called for the arrest. I would have picked up the phone and spoken to the police chief. And that's why, actually, last Wednesday I did speak to Chief Bill Lee on this issue. I placed a call into Sanford because when you're a leader, your leadership doesn't end where city boundaries or city lines might end. And the mayor of Orlando must be the leader for the entire Central Florida region, and we should be the moral pulse for the state of Florida. And my next step would have been, which I'm currently trying to do, and as I can imagine the family is struggling, but I also put outreach to the family so I could hear what they're going through. I could hear what they might need from the community and how we can bridge the gap that we are suffering from. But leadership must act. It starts with action. That's why I picked up the phone, because I care so much about seeing justice being served, and you will get results when you act.
Next question is going to be by Univision. Mr. Camacho.
Thank you. Public transportation is a big issue for the Hispanic community in general. I mean, we use public transportation in our countries a lot. A lot of people consider that public transportation in this city is inadequate. Has any of you ever stood out on 436 in the middle of summer waiting for a bus? I would like to know. There's no shed, no place to go if it rains, under the sun. The buses go by every, I don't know how long. You have to wait a long, long time. I know the Sunrail is coming. I know there's going to be new things coming about, but this is not a new issue. Our people depend on public transportation to go to work, to go to school, to go shopping, and it is honestly very inadequate.
Mr. Cantone, we'll start with you. What would you do in this particular case?
And I'd like to invite everyone to go to my website, mikecantone.com/espanol, where I've placed many of these issues in Spanish so I can better communicate with the community. And specifically on my Keep Orlando Moving plan, I'm the only candidate who is calling for dedicated funding of our Lynx bus system. I went down and sat with the members of ATU, Lynx Union, the mechanics, the drivers, and I heard what they're still going through. And we don't have dedicated funding for the east-west routes that will truly connect our communities in need, as you said. I had a canvasser for me in 2010 who, unfortunately, as a single mother, would have to take the bus 2 hours in each direction, work an 8-hour shift. Now you're talking 14, 15 hours out of her day, and the money being spent. This doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable for our families. And as great as Sunrail will be for the region, it will not benefit the communities in need here in Orlando. And this is not a crisis now. Ridership is up now more than it was 4 years ago, and funding has been slashed. So again, we hear now from our leaders that there's a crisis for funding and we need to make sure we fund Sunrail. I want to re-put the attention back on the Lynx bus system. This is the mass transportation. that actual residents depend on for their work, their school, and not simply to travel to DeLand and beyond.
Mr. Diamond?
Thank you. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's important. It's not just people going to work. It's also seniors who rely on the bus to get around. People that can't drive, and it's important to have a good transportation system. There's no question about it. Whether you're going to work, going to the doctor, going shopping. I know just around downtown, a lot of the seniors want to ride mass transit so they can go into downtown and